Hi, this is Brian Forster, and today we're exploring the Philae Temple of Isis. When arriving at the temple, your guide will almost certainly inform you that you've arrived at Philae, but this is not exactly true. You might find yourself staring at Philae Temple, but these days, the original two islands known collectively as Philae lie buried beneath the still waters of Lake Nasser, an inevitable consequence of the construction of the Aswan High Dam. When the original low dam in Aswan was constructed, the rising waters of Lake Nasser inundated the island on which the temple stood, along with much of the temple itself. Knowing that the temple would be completely lost as a result of the construction of the Aswan High Dam, a massive UNESCO project got underway and the temple was moved to higher ground on nearby Agilkia Island. This achievement in itself makes the area worth visiting. When you see the temple standing today, it really is mind-boggling to think that the entire complex was actually moved and then reconstructed. Having been completed in around 690 AD, Philae Temple is considered by many to be the last of the ancient temples constructed in the so-called classic Egyptian style. It is one of the many temples throughout Egypt that were built in honor of goddess Isis, and it serves as a remarkable example of the cult that was built around her story, and one which includes, of course, Osiris and Horus. In its prime, it was considered to be one of the most sacred of all temples by both the Egyptians and the Nubians. This was essentially because they believed that Osiris had in fact been buried on the island where the temple stood. Nobody other than priests were permitted to dwell there, and legend has it that no birds flew overhead, and that even fish and other aquatic animals never approached the shores of the island. While many visitors pay a visit to the site to explore the temple during daylight hours, many more also visit the site at night to see the Philae Temple Sound and Light Show. Construction began approximately around 690 BC, and it was one of the last outposts where the goddess was worshipped. The cult, or so-called cult of Isis, continued here until at least AD 550. So it went through the very late dynastic period, into the Ptolemaic Greco-Roman period, and even into the Christian era. It's not a huge temple, but it's very beautiful because of where it's located. And we include this in our tour, the next one being in March of 2020, because we also visit the unfinished obelisk at the Aswan Quarry and Elephantine Island, both of which are very much megalithic constructions. There's very little megalithic presence here, except for a few objects made out of granite, which you saw in previous parts of this video. But it's just a very tranquil location, and again, well worth visiting. Now, this curious object is made out of Aswan granite, and it, of course, is a grinding wheel, probably from the Roman time period, for grinding grains. You can see the central hub there, and you can see the weathering on the interior surface where another stone would have rolled around in order to grind the grains. Again, very little megalithic presence at this location, but it's a very tranquil place to explore and a very fine example of largely Ptolemaic period construction, mainly out of sandstone, which is relatively local to the area. The fact that it had to be moved from its original location, block by block, is an excellent example of modern engineering prowess. There you see the faces of dynastic and post-dynastic figures having been ground off or defaced by local people. And again, simply a beautiful location at Lake Nasser in southern Egypt. As previously stated, we're going to be returning to Egypt in March of 2020. And of course, we will be including this temple, because we always do. And here, this is probably the most intriguing and enigmatic aspect of the island, this ancient passageway. What its original function was, I'm not quite sure. But again, almost completely constructed out of sandstone, so no presence of major megalithic features, but a beautiful and tranquil location. I've actually written several books about ancient Egypt, which are all available at Amazon.com in ebook and paperback formats. If you'd like to meet me in person, I will be at Contact in the Desert in California, May 31st to June 3rd of this year, 2019. We still have spaces available for our tour of ancient Turkey in September of 2019. We also still have space for our India tour, looking at ancient machining technology examples in January. And again, our tour in March 2020 of ancient Egypt. If you're interested in any of the tours, please contact Patricia Lehman at chematology.com, and thank you for watching, as always.